Hello and welcome to this guide to bossing. My name is Juxtaposer and I'm somewhat experienced in bossing. I got into bossing in season 9. After 2 seasons playing, I was kind of afraid to try bossing, and then some friends encouraged me to try it, and I really got into it and I thought it was really fun. And I was surprised in the beginning to see how easy it was to start bossing, despite how afraid I was to start doing it, because the materials can be expensive. I didn't know where to get everything. I didn't know what were the requirements. So there was a lot of questions I had. And when I searched around for content that would tell me, you need this and that, this is how you get the materials, this is how you get everything, I couldn't find anything. I could find a lot of demonstrations of people doing it with certain builds or characters, and I mean that would be helpful to me if that was the character I was playing, but it wasn't enough to tell me about the basics, and I had to ask a lot of different people. Sometimes on the Discord, sometimes I'd get conflicting answers to some questions that I had in terms of what is the main resistances I should be working on, which items are the go-to for a specific fight, and things like that. So I figured now that I spent 2 seasons bossing so much and with different builds, different characters, I figured maybe now it's time that I make this video that I was missing at the time, and this is what this video is going to be like. Now, this video will have a demonstration in it, just so I could show all sorts of aspects of bossing. And today we're going to talk about 4 different boss fights. This will not include the Lucion boss fight from season 10. Hopefully in the future I can make a video about him. Sadly, he is not in plugy yet, so I don't want to cover him. This is a non-ladder character, it's not on plugy, but because he's not there, I'm not gonna have the chance to demonstrate him with the characters I'm gonna show in the future, so I didn't want to include him in that fight. So back to what I was talking about. We're going to talk about 4 different fights today. One of them is going to be Uber Ancients, okay, which are basically, these are the materials for them. We're going to talk about Ubers, which is kind of like the classic Diablo 2 boss fight. We're going to talk about Dclone, which is the source of our analysis that we love. And we're going to talk about Rathma, which is the source of tainted worldstone shards. So we're going to talk about about all the aspects of these 4 bosses. And in the following days and weeks, I'm planning to release demonstrations for each class. So we will show each class doing all or some of these boss fights, especially Dclone and Rathma, which are the more intense boss fights that people are kind of afraid to do. So if you do have ideas of builds they want to see during these demonstrations, feel free to add them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them, because I'm going to go through plugy, through character after character, showing a bunch of builds, just so people feel maybe they gain more confidence from seeing somebody use a build that they run. So that's kind of what made me want to make this video and the following videos. And hopefully they can be useful to people who want to get into bossing but either lack the confidence or the information to start doing it and be confident or be comfortable doing it. So with that said, let's get into the video. And the first boss we'll talk about is the Uber Ancients. And you get into Uber Ancients by combining a Sigil of Madoc, a Sigil of Talik, and a Sigil of Korlik. Each of these, as you can see, will say there's a note here. I don't know if it's just my loot filter, the Chrysart loot filter, that gives this note. But Uber Ancients ingredients from tier 1 maps, tier 2 maps, and tier 3. Basically, each one of these sigils can drop in the respective maps, right? Madoc for tier 1, Talik for tier 2, and Korlik for tier 3. Normally, at the beginning of the season, this is just general information, tier 1 sigils are cheaper than tier 2 and tier 3, and then later in the season, it flips as everybody starts doing tier 3 maps, especially in group maps. Tier 1 and tier 2, especially tier 2, usually are more expensive. That's usually how it goes. This is just general information for newer players that may be useful for them. So you don't have to separate those, but I'm just going to do that just to show how it looks like. So you'll be taking one of each into your cube, and if you press transmute, you'll get this Relic of the Ancients. And you can see that it says recommended level 80. I believe that before there was a level requirement 80 for this fight, but I think they removed the level requirement, and now there's just a recommended level 80 on it. So basically how this fight works is you'll go to the fountain over here, right? This is how you start boss fights, and you can right click this relic of the ancients, right? And everybody has their own like ways of like how they fight. I think, yeah, this is fine. But in this fight, you can either target 1 Uber Ancient, right? You'll see that I clicked on it, be turned to gold, 2 or 3. Depending on how many you fight, this is like how big your reward will be. So at the end of this fight, it's kind of like a loot pinata, where like the moment you kill the last remaining Ancient, then, you know, then a ton of loot drops. They also drop another thing, which I will show in a moment, but we'll fight all 3 of them. Just to show, I didn't like match my gear specifically for this fight. This is just like whatever I had on, but I'm sure it'll be okay. This is generally considered the easiest boss fight, if you'd even consider this a boss fight. I'm just gonna consider it for for this video. Okay, so you press this Altar of the Damned when you decided how many you want to fight, and generally it's recommended to fight all 3 because that's how you gain like the most value. Okay, and you'll see that like, oh, suddenly they're like alive here, and you can choose to fight whoever you want. Now this is similar to the Uber's fight. This is a fight where your mercenary can join you, right? And you'll see we killed all 3 of them, and you'll see that like a ton of loot drops, a ton of cool things. So we got like a ring here, a unique ring, a ton of rare rings, maybe they have something cool in them, rare amulet, and I want to kind of like move some stuff here just so I can show another thing that is relevant to this fight, and it's the standard of heroes. This thing you may have seen like in the loot that they dropped like a total of 3 standard of heroes. I'll try to pick them up to just show what they mean, and you'll drop standards of heroes relative to how many ancients you fight. So if you fight 3, you'll drop 3. If you only fight 1, you'll only drop 1. Oh, there's also a string of ears here, so we can also show that, I guess. If I can find it, I will most definitely show it. I am overburdened here. I'm no longer overburdened. Okay, so we can go over to Kane here. He can identify all these things for us, and we can get rid of all the things we don't want. But yeah, as you can see, it drops like a ton of loot. Maybe some of it is cool. Who knows? CR 25 life, 3 life. Oh, you know what? This looks like a cool ring. And the unique ring we got is Nagel, so we sell it. We don't care about it. It's a cute little paladin amulet. Okay, and the string of ears. So we can slam like we got like a here 15 PDR, 8 life steal. Pretty solid actually, string of ears. So we can slam it. And obviously we break it. That's like classic me. But yeah, so this is how the fight goes. And these standard of heroes, if people remember, they used to exist in the old game. They didn't really have a purpose, not at least that I remember they had any purpose, and they used to drop from the Uber fight. So now they drop from the Uber Ancients fight, and you can add those to maps. You can see cube with a map to add heroic bonuses, and it adds like experience, monster density, and magic find. And these are awesome to have when you're farming, both for MFing or for farming experience. Really great. And in group maps, like usually these are like kind of like a demand. Like if you want to run good group maps, you gotta have those. So Uber Ancients, very important fight to kind of like boost your mapping experience. And yeah, that's basically the fight. You see, it's very simple. You get these like little standard of heroes. I think I should have like a map tab here. Yeah, okay. So this goes here, and this is the Uber's Ancient fight. So relatively simple. Now you will see that like I have a lot of resistances. I have a lot of resistances because that's like my current gear. You don't need that much. There's no need to overcap your resistances either, but you did see there are different types of damage in this fight, and sometimes they will spawn with like a Holy Freeze aura. Sometimes depending on who you kill first, like they'll do more lightning damage or more physical damage. So there's all sorts of types of damage there. A lot of different builds can do this fight. There's like some builds that are very bad at bossing that can't, but generally a lot of builds, especially like physical builds, are usually like doing great here. Summoners usually do great here because you just stay safe when you summon. So a lot of builds can finish this fight. It's not super demanding. So this is like kind of like the level 1 of bossing, kind of. I picked up like all sorts of stuff. I actually don't want them. I just wanted to like clear out like some space there. We can keep this, you know. This can stay here. Okay, I'm getting distracted with picking up stuff because I'm a goblin. Whereas like should be like, yeah, a jewelry page can go over here. Okay, so this is the first fight that we kind of like showcase. Relatively simple, nothing crazy here, and relatively intuitive, right? 3 ancients, you can fight between 1 and 3. You gain the sigils from maps, right? Each like sigil comes from a map that's like corresponds with its ancients, and you can trigger 1 to 3, and depending on how many you trigger, you get that much loot. Awesome. Right? It is. Okay, so the second boss that we're going to talk about is Ubers. And Ubers is the classic boss. Most people are familiar with it, but if you're not, if you're new to the game, or if you're just checking it out and you only now found out about bossing, awesome to be you, okay? In Project Diablo 2, Uber's keys can drop from 2 locations per key, okay? So you have Blood Raven, which is basically like the one that... Let me just gain some speed here. You know what? Let me swap to my sorceress just so it's easier. Where's my? Yeah, there she is. Okay, so now let's show it. So you can either go to Cold Plains and run to the Blood Raven. Is it here? No, the Stony Field. Hope I don't die. So you can go to the burial grounds, and if you kill Blood Raven, right, she has a chance to drop a key for you. She drops a key of terror, right? So this is like the first key out of like the 3 that I demonstrate. I'll go back and show like the keys later. So Blood Raven is one of them. The second one in Act 1 that drops a key is the Countess. The Countess lives in the tower. The tower can be found in Black Marsh, usually found in one of the corners, from what I remember. But I'm not like I don't remember all the maps and all the like where things are. Not here. Maybe it's here. No. Maybe it was closer to me than I thought. Oh, there it is. Okay. Found a little corner. So if you go down the Forgotten Tower, most people know this is like the 4th quest. You go down at the end, there's a Countess. She often drops runes for you that you need. If you kill her enough time in Hell difficulty, and I think also in Nightmare, she has a lower chance to do it. You can get a key of terror as well. For the second key, the key of hate, there are 2 locations as well, and they are both in Act 2. The first one is in Arcane Sanctuary, and one of these like 4 pathways that I'm definitely gonna get wrong is the Summoner. So the Summoner drops like a key of hate. He can do that. That was like the original one who dropped it. And the second place where you can drop it is the Halls of the Dead, which I should have the waypoint for, but I don't, which is truly shameful. But the Halls of the Dead is basically where you get your cube, your Horadric cube. Normally you only do it once in normal, if you even do it at all, if you're not being rushed. But in case you die, that's where you go back to get your key. And at the end, there's like a, not like a boss, but like a, you know, a unique mob with like a. Let me find them. Wait, where is it? Oh, it's up here. How did I not see that? Also, that level 3, and it should be on the left here. And you have this, right? This Blood Witch, the Wild, and killing her can drop a key of hate as well. So that's the second place where you can get a key of hate. for the key of destruction, you also have 2 locations that can drop it. Location number 1 is not in the City of the Damned. That's how you teleport there. It's by Izuel. Originally there was only one, only Neilthak could have dropped it. Again, PD2 added like 1 more location for each key, which is awesome, I think, just so you don't have to farm like the same mob type. So over here in the Plains of Despair, you can like look for Izuel. If you have the quest, then it'll pop for you, but if you don't, then you just gotta look for them. I'm sure there's like a way to know, and I just don't know how to find them. If we were lucky, we would have seen them already, or if we knew what we were doing. I feel like we've searched the entire map. Maybe we haven't. Okay, he is here somewhere. We will find him and we will kill him. Just like Liam Neeson said. Oh, there he is. Oh, we did find him. We just missed him. So when you kill him, he will kill the entire screen, and he can drop a key of destruction. And the last one is in Act 5. And it's Neilthak, and you get into Neilthak's temple through this little portal here. Whoop. Okay, that was that's all funny and all embarrassing, I guess. I don't really know what I was wearing, but I definitely didn't deserve it. Wait, let me just make a new game so I can take my stuff back. Yeah, we should be fine. Ignore my softcore tendencies. Yeah, I should have just killed him. So yeah, as you go down through Neilthak's temple, there's like the different holes that you go down through. There's like a way to know which side he is. I'm just gonna check like this. Obviously, I always get it like the wrongest way possible. That's just me. So yeah, over here, this Neilthak, and he can cause some explosions to happen. So be careful. And when you kill him, he can drop a key of destruction. So that's kind of like the areas where you can farm all these keys. Let me go back to my druid so I can show the fight. So if you farm them enough, you can drop these keys, right? These Key of Terror from Act 1, Keys of Hate from Act 2, and Keys of Destruction Act 4 and 5. Home 5. Oh. Home. Okay. Finally. Once you get these 3 keys, you can open like the mini portals. And what are the mini portals? Basically, like you'll see that I press this and I get Forgotten Sands. Now there are 3 different ones. You don't have to open them in the same game. It used to be the case that you needed one of each portals to get in. It's no longer the case in PD2. So if you get the portal you want, like most people, for example, really like the Furnace of Pain, because it's the easiest generally. So you can just do that, but I'm gonna open all 3 of them just so we can kind of like see how it looks like. So the first one takes you to the Furnace of Pain, and the Furnace of Pain, yeah, it's like this river of flame-like area, and we're looking for Izuel here. So I'm just like getting my buff ready because we're gonna run a lot. And this is Izuel. He's relatively easy to kill. Out of like the 3, he's usually the easiest. Yeah, and you kill him, he will give you Mephisto's brain, right? So we will be collecting 3 body parts from these areas. So first we'll go Furnace, then we'll go to over here, Forgotten Sand. That reminds you of Act 2. And then here we'll be fighting Duriel. Now you will see that I straight up went, I say straight up, but like I went straight down into the right. This is usually where Duriel will be. It's for Duriel, it's not so random as some people may think. You can just kind of like go to this area. Usually he will be around here. It's not 100% of the time, it's like 95% of the time. This is where it'll be, and he will give you Bale's Eye, which we will pick up. Okay, amazing. So we go back, and then we go to the Matron's Den, and here we're gonna find Lilith, which is basically Andariel, but like on steroids. So you see that there is like there's cold damage, there is some fire and physical damage, and Lilith of course will deal a lot of poison damage. Again, she's not always like this to the right, but just like generally speaking, that's where you'll find her. This map is obviously random, so has different layouts, and she will give you Diablo's horn. Now we can go back to town, and once you have these three body parts, which you can collect in different sessions, you don't have to do it at the same time. You can put them all in your cube with a key, transmute, and you get this Pandemonium Talisman. And this Pandemonium Talisman you can take with you over here. Yeah, over here to this area. I don't know like what to say. Yeah. And if you right click it, it will send you to Uber Tristram. Now, something important to know, now we're finally in the boss fight, in the Uber boss fight. Something that they kind of did in Project Diablo 2, it used to be that this portal was kind of like infinite. And then like in PD2, it was like a one-time portal, so if you die, you lose it. It changed, they did, I believe in season 10, or maybe it was season 9. I could be like mixing it up, but either way, at the moment of recording this, season 10, this portal has like 3 entrances. So even if you die, or even if you need to leave to like maybe get more potions or maybe revive your merc, you can do it. You have 3 times to enter total after you leave. So it's like the first one is like the one you enter. I'll show the portals now, so you'll see there are like still 3 portals. So if I enter, okay, one of those portals just like went away, so I have 2 more entrances back. So basically 4 times to enter total. I will do like my buffing, summon my summon, and something that's very normal here, like we're going to find like a kind of like a juiced up versions of Mephisto, Bale, and Diablo, like the prime evils. They're all going to be like usually around here. Sometimes they are in different places, and they all like have their own little summons, so you kind of have to pay attention. Now we will talk a little bit about every one of them, and you'll see that I'm right now lower, like under a lower resist. This is the lower resist curse. This is something that Bale casts on you, and it's one of the main reasons you want to separate the 3. So you'll see that I'm kind of like I'm walking them away. I'm also charging my Feral Rage on the way. So the reason I'm doing it is because Bale casts a very dangerous curse, right? The lower resist curse, and Mephisto actually has a conviction aura. So he will also lower your resistances, which it's a pretty deadly combination. So I'm dragging them away from each other, separating them, call it however you want. Some characters don't have to do it. Some characters can fight them like at the same time. But as you can see now, we're lower res. We were under conviction, I mean, and we're doing fine. We're not like in big danger. Again, different characters fight this fight differently. Mephisto basically deals a lot of lightning damage. This is why like I'm overcapped for like resistances. So everything that gives you a lot of resistances for this fight is great. You don't need like max, like added max resistances. The main thing you want is to just overcap your resistances. That's usually how you approach this fight. So you'll just have a lot of resistances to make sure that you're not like too low after getting lower res or after being under the conviction aura. So after killing, usually like I like to start with either Bale or Mephisto, just because they're like easier to drag than Diablo. And over here, Bale, you will do the usual Bale moves like the Cold Wave, like the Nova, the Mana Burn, right? All the normal stuff, and he summons these like Dark Lords that are pretty annoying. As you can see, if you fight them one by one, it's not really a big problem. Now again, some characters really struggle with the Cold Nova, for example, or with other moves. That's okay. Every character is kind of like has their own experience, I guess, here. That's the second fight. So Mephisto, ton of lightning damage, just like normal Mephisto stuff. Bale, the cold damage mostly, and the lower res curse. And then you have Diablo, and Diablo does the normal Diablo moves. He has like his fire wave that deals a lot of damage. He has his like big lightning, the fire thing, and he has this like Armageddon that he casts. This is the druid Armageddon skill. And as you can see, like he's in my opinion the least threatening one out of the three, but for some characters I'm sure that he's like more of a problem. And ever since season 10, so this wasn't the case in the past, but from now on it is, at the end of the fight, you always dropped a torch. The last one always dropped a torch for you, right? A unit torch. And now in season 10 you're guaranteed one black soulstone. We'll talk about this black soulstone in a moment, but this is the Uber's fight, okay? And you'll see that like we still have our 2 portals here. Right, 2 portals, go in, go out, right? They disappear after 1 use. Okay, they go away. So this is how the Uber's fight works. This is what you need to know about the Uber's fight. Generally, like the res that you're looking for, other stats don't matter as much, like physical damage reduction or magical damage reduction. They don't matter too much. Like poison doesn't matter too much for this fight. You do want like some faster recovery. That's always good, like anywhere you are. So don't forget about that. Okay, so we did this fight, and now we got this black soulstone and this unit torch. So now we'll identify this torch, because selling unit torches is boring, and I'm not even going to sell it because this is non-ladder. So let's see what we got. We got a 53-13 paladin, which is pretty average. So we're going to see how we use this very soon. This was the Uber's fight. Okay, so awesome. We went over this, and now we're going into the more intense fights, the Dclone fight, and then we'll talk about the Rathma fight. So what is the Dclone fight? I'll use this black soulstone we just dropped. The Dclone fight is basically where you fight to get an Annilis. An Annilis is super important, especially if you're playing solo. Getting an Annilis is very big. It gives you resistances, it gives you skills, vitality, experience. It's kind of like a super item. They should always have it. Only takes 1 slot of your charms and gives you so much. Basically like the most effective charm in the game, in my opinion, because it's like a torch, right? Can give like the vitality, the resistances, the skills. So it can do all of that, and it can also give experience, but it does it with one slot, right? So amazing charm, and it's like a must-have thing for everyone because it's so valuable. So you get it in the Dclone fight, and the Dclone fight, just like the other fights, has 3 materials. You have a pure demonic essence, a black soulstone, and a prime evil soul. Black soulstone we just saw drops from the Uber fight. That's the only place where you can get it. The pure demonic essence drops in maps, and basically map bosses have a chance to drop them. So when you go into a map, there's always like one boss, and like in his like little block where he sits there kind of waiting for you, and some people skip those bosses because sometimes they don't want to farm them, or maybe the boss is too annoying to kill, or maybe it's like out of their way to farm them. But if you kill them, you have a chance to drop this pure demonic essence, and this is the second material for the Dclone fight. And then you have the prime evil souls, and prime evil souls can drop from Nightmare and Hell Diablo, from Hell from Nightmare and Hell Bale, and from Hell Mephisto. These are the areas where they can drop. In Nightmare they have a lower chance to drop, in Hell they have a higher chance to drop. Mephisto has the lowest chance, Diablo has then like the average chance to drop like a primeval soul. It's called, by the way, PES for short. I'm like struggling to say primeval soul every time, so I'm going to say PES from now on. PES is just the initials, PES. Also, this is called PDE normally, and this is called BSS for Black Soul Stone. So this is kind of like the materials for Dclone. Drops from the primeval souls from Diablo, Mephisto, and Bale. This drops from Ubers, and this drops from map bosses. As to prices for these things, like normally, like it's hard for me to say. Like early in the seasons, like these are usually very cheap. PD usually gets cheaper as the season goes because it's so common. People map so often. Black soulstones, I'm not sure. This season is the first season where they were a guaranteed drop from Ubers, and I think that changed a little bit how they were priced. In the past they were very expensive, and then they got a lot cheaper. Primeval souls, they start pretty cheap because everybody's running things like Sanctuary, Bales, and Mephisto runs. So they start relatively cheap, and their prices usually climb up as the season goes. That's kind of like the price trajectories for these things. I didn't talk about keys in terms of prices, by the way, just because keys are like a lot more dynamic in terms of their prices. They go up and down, like depending on like the season and how many people farm them. So I can't really say prices for them. So I don't want to get into that too much, but that's generally the price trajectory for these free items. Once you have one of each, you put them in the cube like we do with every free materials, and you transmute it, and you get this thing which is called Vision of Terror. Vision of Terror is basically the thing that takes you to the Dclone fight, and it has 3 tiers. So you see tier 0. If I transmute it again, it's tier 1. Transmute it again, it's tier 2. In the past, you had to add runes in order to transmute it and change it to a higher tier. It's no longer the case, and you can transmute it back to tier 0, right? Tier 1, tier 2. So that's all it takes. Now we're going to talk about the Dclone fight. It's like the first fight we really want to talk about requirements for the fight. And why are we doing this? Because Dclone fight is something that scares a lot of people. Because it's scary. Okay, they summon you to an area, and it's like a very intense fight. And yeah, we're going to talk about it a little bit to kind of like calm you guys down. Over the next few days, I'm going to release druid builds doing the Dclone and Rathma fight to calm people even more down, you know, just like show how simple the fights are. But we're first just gonna like go in and just you know, talk a little bit about the things you need for the fight. So the main things we're looking at for the Dclone fight are the next stats. Okay, the max fire resist, this is the first stat we want to look at. And remember, we're gonna do tier 0 now, but we're talking basically about like the how do I say this? We're gonna like aspire to have like the highest stats that we can. So what I'm talking about is kind of like your gear goals, right? We're gonna look towards having that, but even if you don't have that much, you'll still be fine to kill tier 0. So generally, maybe I should just explain what I mean by you know, just showing. So the stats that you want for Dclone are max fire resist. So the more you have, the better. For tier 2, for example, you wouldn't want any less than 90. 90 is the maximum fire resist that you can have. But if you're doing a lower tier, maybe you're doing tier 0 or tier 1, having less is okay. It's still preferred to have higher, but that is what you want. So that is the first thing is maximum fire res. You generally want the rest of your resistances to be high. Some people also use max fire, max cold and max lightning because they do exist in the fight. Personally, it just depends on the build. Some builds will need it, some builds don't really care. But generally you want your resistances to be like, you know, in the 70s usually. Poison is the least important one, but there are some sources of poison damage in the fight later in the fight, which I will show. So in terms of resistances, this is the thing you care about the most. You want to have 90 fire res. In terms of cannot be frozen, you do want to have cannot be frozen on like 90% of the builds. There's a few builds who don't care about cannot be frozen in the fight. They exist, but that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna acknowledge them. Generally speaking, cannot be frozen is something you do want for this fight. If we go down here, absorption, you do want to have as much absorption as you can. Some characters can only afford 12% with the next item. It's called Dwarf Star. So let me just show, if you wear a Dwarf Star, it gives you this like percent absorption of fire. Fire damage is the most common type of damage, and this ring is also really nice. It gives you a bunch of life as well. So wearing 2 Dwarf Stars is pretty common for this fight. Ignore like my stats that I can't wear my stuff. Here, I can wear my stuff now. So it's pretty common to use these rings. It's just like they're very, very strong. in this fight, so I'm going to show it like this, probably. Like, I don't know. I think that's what we're going to do at least. But absorption, very, very good stat to have during Dclone fight. Again, not mandatory, but as you're mapping, if you drop a Dwarf Star, it's good to keep one if you just want to Dclone by yourself. The next stat that we care about in the Dclone fight is physical damage reduction. And I'm not talking about the flat side. So the left side is flat damage reduction, which is something werewolves have a lot of. But we want the physical damage reduction in percentages. The Dclone fight includes a lot of physical damage. It's after fire, it's the most important type of damage. And as much as you can have, the maximum is 50. As much as you can have, especially if you're a melee build. If you're a build that likes to get close, you're going to get damaged by a lot more physical damage than ranged builds. So the closer you are during the fight, the more physical damage you want to have. And again, think of all these things as like, I want to have as much as I can, but maybe I'm going to have less because of whatever reason. So for example, for Dclone, like it's very common to take like Redungos, it gives you a bunch of PDR. Shaft Stop is very common type of armor because it gives a lot of PDR. So there's a lot of different like items that you can run, a lot of like good different items that you can run, right? So you can run this, you can run, some people run G-Bane because it gives a lot of damage on physical builds. Some people run Arcane, some people run Guardian Angel because it gives like a lot of maximum resistances. There's a lot of different ways in general to do this fight. Water Walks, a very common type of like armor. Right, so this like could be a setup that you could be using to get like all of your resistances. Basically, a lot of different combinations. Where is my... Yeah, this is what I want. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to kind of get the things that you need. And you just basically have to figure out for yourself, like, how am I getting the things that I need for the fight? Yep, okay. So let me just figure out how I get a little bit more resistances. I'll just swap like a charm or something. I'm sure I have something here. More fire res. I'm sure I have small charms for fire res. There we go. There we go. Okay, so right now I'm way over prepared for a tier 0 kill. I just wanted to show kind of like how I would prepare for a tier 2 kill. So you'll see that like now I have 50 PDR for my Shaft Stop and my Verdungo. I have 90 max fire. I have like relatively good resistances, like this 68, this is 82, this is like 61, so it's like a little low, but it's still okay. I have my FHR breakpoint that I want for this character. I have my 12 absorption, and like I have like my damage and like all the other stuff I need, attack rating. So different builds again need different stuff, but now we're just gonna go into the fight and we're just gonna show how the fight goes, and I'm gonna try and do it as slowly as I can, just kind of like demonstrating how the fight works, and we're gonna like talk about it as we go. So again, with all things, you go over here and like for this fight, generally take a lot of rejuve potions. I have a rejuve page here. Yeah, I do. Normally you'd clear all of your inventory. You wouldn't have like wouldn't have your books here. You wouldn't have these like random charms that I don't need here. You'll just fill your inventory with juice. That's how normally it's done. Yeah, normally you'd have like a CTA on your switch because having a CTA is good. It's a good buff. Okay, so when you click this, I'm not gonna need more of this. Usually you'd fill your entire inventory because there's no reason not to, but I promise you we're not gonna need more for tier 0. So as you go in, you'll see you're sent into this kind of like arena. Okay, you have this Diablo in the middle, right? This is the Dclone fight. Okay, this is how the arena looks like. Now, as we go, like the fight is gonna have more and more fire. I think I forgot to have cannot be frozen on my gear because I was chatting and I forgot to put my my Raven Frost on. So now we're gonna see me fight with while frozen. Hey dude, how's it going? What do you think is the bare minimum in res life and PDR I need for Dclone tier 0? I want to try it with summons on. That's so crazy that he's asking this right now. So, isn't it crazy? Yo, I'll get back to you soon. Crazy that he asked this right now. That's really funny. So anyway, this is the arena, and in the arena you'll see that like Dclone will chase you around, and he will do his normal like Diablo attacks. Right, we have the lightning attack, which is part physical and part lightning damage, by the way. We have his like fire waves that will send out. Right, this one, and he has another type of fire wave. Maybe he will do it soon. I'm waiting for him to do it, but I don't know if he wants to. Yeah, this one, the firestorm, which is kind of like the druid skill. Right, so we have all of these skills, and you have like these pillars with trapped souls on them. They will summon later in the fight. They summon all these kind of like spirits that will cause fires. So once you look at Dclone, right, you'll see that like if you lower his life, right, so I'm gonna like start attacking him, he will summon skeletons. This fight is basically separated into 3 parts. First part, like he's like chasing you around doing his attacks, right, and then the second part is he summons like a wave of skeletons. The first one looks like this, right, these kind of skeletons, just warriors. They do physical damage, and you have to kill all of them. He's invulnerable. All this time that we're fighting, he's invulnerable. Okay, and this is just, by the way, I'm just like oh, here we go. These are like the spirits that these guys are summoning. They will chase you around. If you're really tryharding, you'll try to like run these spirits into the pillars so they stop following you. If they explode, they kind of leave this little fire on the ground. So this fire can be dangerous if you stand on it. Once you clear all the skeletons in a certain phase, then he will become vulnerable again. You can attack him again, and you'll have to deal a little bit more damage, and he will go into the middle here. Now, you'll see that he starts now summoning this kind of like wave of novas. Generally, it's recommended to hide behind the pillars. Some characters who can teleport will teleport over them. You don't want to tank these. These do a lot of damage, right? One of these spirit fires comes out, and we bump it into the corner, you'll see, and now it doesn't bother us. You don't have to do this. You can also just like you know, touch them for a moment to make them explode so they stop following you. That's another option. Now, once we've done these 3 parts in the fight, right here, this is an example of me running into it and running away so it doesn't damage me. Once we've done these 3 parts, it basically starts again. Now we have to damage Dclone again, and remember, as long as you're far from Dclone, he's invulnerable. You'll see that he gains his like aura back, right? This means he's invulnerable. Right after we do a little bit more damage to him, he summons a second wave of skeletons, and the second wave will include skeleton archers. It's usually preferred to get rid of these skeleton archers first, mostly because they shoot at you from afar. But I don't want to say that like all characters play this the same. Some characters play this differently, obviously. Normally, by the way, when you're in this Nova phase where he's shooting Novas, that's when you'll fill up your belt. Right, I just don't need to fill my belt right now. So over here, right after we do like our like second phase, we clear, you'll see that there are a lot more meteors, a lot more spirits kind of being shot at us. So there's a lot more fire. As the fight progresses, that's generally what's going to happen. There's going to be more and more fire, more and more damage going our way. So you don't have to dodge all those. Like, it's okay to get hit by some of those. That's why we have all the fire absorption and all that. And again, we summon the novas and we want to hide behind one of the pillars. I think most people prefer hiding behind this pillar. You can hide behind the other ones. This one is just relatively easy to get behind, and you can always like click down towards this, and it's pretty easy to kind of like position yourself behind them. It's like possible to hide behind any of the pillars though. Since I'm talking a lot, this obviously takes a long time. So our battle orders ran out, so we make sure to rebuild ourselves, and now we reach phase number 3, and again we will like attack Diablo. Wow, he's doing a long lightning there. We'll attack Diablo and we lower his health. Okay, and after we lower his health, we summon all these like skeletons, and now there's also skeleton mages, and some of these mages have poison. That's why I said there are sources of poison technically. Oh, and look what happened. This is like good that it happened here. What you're seeing right now is called double phasing. It's basically means that we did so much damage to Diablo that he went down to the point where he needs to shoot the Novas. This is something that some people do if they are trying to speedrun the fight, but generally this is not a good thing for you, because it means that you saw I was kind of like trapped there with the skeletons. They were attacking me, and I couldn't run anywhere. I couldn't fill my potions in my belt. Like I didn't have like downtime basically. Think of the Novas as kind of like your downtime. You like go, you hide, and you can like put in like potions, right? That's normally what people do. So that's how like the fight is. So well, we're just gonna pretend like that didn't happen. Again, this is obviously this is a character who can kill tier 2s. So like the highest like tier. Once you clear out all the skeletons, then you can like finally attack like Diablo a few more times, and then you'll get your kill. Okay, he will drop an Annihilus. In higher tiers of this fight, he has also the chance to drop unique items. For example, this item is called Dark Abyss. I've dropped in season 9, and these items are like, they're very cool. Some of them are also strong, but for the most part they're kind of like cool bragging rights type of items. They can drop in tier 1 and tier 2. In tier 0, you only get the reward from the fight, which is the Annihilus. Let's identify it just to see what we got. Where do I put my... Yeah, there we go. We got a 5718. Nice. Actually a pretty good Annihilus. So we're gonna... Like at the end of the video, I promised to show myself slamming this Annihilus. So this is the result of the Dclone fight. We got our reward, got the Annihilus, and now we're happy and we're awesome. And this is the Dclone fight. That's all you need to know. Annihilus, so at the beginning of the season, usually for like 1 high rune plus for unidentified Annihilus, and they sell for a lot. And then as the season goes, they become more common, and people start giving them out for free or selling them for like somewhere between 1 high rune to like half a high rune, like a Vex rune or something like that. So that's generally the trajectory of the prices of Annihilus. Again, this is just the perspective of the last couple of seasons. This could change. This is not like a eternally the same way forever kind of thing. So that's generally how the Dclone fight is. And now we're going to talk about the Rathma fight. And the Rathma fight, generally speaking, is usually the most intimidating, the most confusing fight for everyone. So we're going to try and take our time and explain it, and just have like the best, or try to come up with the best like understanding. I believe that I put all these in for the Rathma fight in the first place, so I'm just going to try and put them in there and hope this is the correct thing. Okay. Ravenfrost. Oh, I did have a Ravenfrost here. Okay, so now we can talk about the Rathma fight. And I'm going to be switching my gear again, and you'll see me switching my gear. And I'll explain all the switches that I made very, very soon. Rings, I believe I have like a ring here. And metal grid. And I had another ring somewhere. Not BK, not Raven. Which ring did I use? I think it was a Nature's. There was a Nature's here somewhere, no? I think so. Angel, Doom Circle, Nature's. There we go. We found it. In the end, we found it. Okay. And now we're going to talk about the Rathma fight. The Rathma fight is relatively the most confusing one, I would say. Generally speaking, like it's probably the most confusing one. It has a lot of different like elements to it, so we're gonna try and keep it relatively straightforward. But I can see if it gets like too confusing, then just like take your time, watch it slowly, ease the ×2 speed maybe, or whatever you need to, you know, figure this out. So now we're going to talk about the Rathma fight. And the Rathma fight is the fight you do to get this Tainted Whirlstone Shard. Tainted Whirlstone Shard is used to slam Annihilus. Basically, you know, this is like the normal color of Annihilus. It's like 1 to skills, some vitality, some energy, some resistances, some experience in the ranges that it shows there. But if you slam an Annihilus, you can get like this kind of like red Annihilus. And you can see that like some of the stats, like all resistances here, for example, are above the what they should be able to be. The reason is because if you slam an Annihilus, it can basically get either +1 to all skills, so it can be a +2 Annihilus like this one. It can get all resistances. I believe it's between wow, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's between 7 to 10 or 8 to 10 all resistances, so this one is 28 total. And it can get vitality. It can get between 20 to 25 vitality, and I think, oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but 10 to 15 energy, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember the exact numbers. They exist on the wiki if you guys want to check. And it can get between 3 to 5 experience, so it can be like an experience Annihilus. So you'll see we have like one of each here. Somehow I didn't plan this, but apparently we have one of each to just kind of demonstrate what each of the slams can be. It can also break. There's a chance that your Annihilus will break, and a broken Annihilus will look like this. You see that it's corrupted, and this is just like happens to be like a good broken Annihilus that I got. So I kept it. I thought it was awesome. It got like 18 life and 11 cold res, so a really cool small charm that I've been using ever since. But yeah, this is basically like corrupting Annihilus. This is why you do the Rathma fight. And the Rathma fight has the following materials. One is Triangle's Jawbone, which drops randomly from what I understand from undead monsters. It can drop from any undead monster. It can even drop in the Dclone and Rathma fight from like random undeads that you kill there. So they can drop anywhere, just randomly. Some maps have more undeads and are like more commonly dropping these kind of like items, like crypts, I think can drop them pretty commonly. So you can basically get this almost anywhere. Undeads are like super common monster types. So this is like a material, the first material. Second material is called Splinter of the Void. You basically get this from map events. So in the maps, there's like a 1 in 3 chance for like a rare map to have an event. Rare maps are the yellow ones. So there's a 1 in 3 chance for this map to have an event, or you can guarantee an event with a catalyst chart. Events can happen in like unimbued maps or in like magic maps. I don't know if I have one here. I might have one somewhere, but like that doesn't matter. You guys understand what I'm saying. Like the blue maps have like I think 1 in 6 chances. I could be wrong on the chances, but all maps have a chance for an event, but the highest chance is on rare maps. So there's a 1 in 3 chance to get an event, or if you have a catalyst shard, it says use it to add a guaranteed random event to your map. And out of the events, there are 7 events. One of the events is called Beckoning of the Void, and it's basically like people call it the experience event. There's like a Mendeln, somebody who looks like a Nilithak is in the middle. They summon a ton of skeletons, and they give a lot of experience as well. So a lot of people use it to try and level up. They will call people to join their game, and at the end of the event, he will drop like kind of like the Uber Ancients. They will drop a ton of materials, a ton of like stuff for you to just like loot and pick up. And there's also a chance, I believe it's a 40% chance to drop this Splinter of the Void. Senpai, if you ever watch this video, please make it a 100% chance. We want more splinters. I'm joking. Or am I? Who knows? Splinter of the Void is the second material, and it can drop from that event. So basically, this is found in maps, this is found from undead, and the last material is Hellfire Torch, or basically, if you combine a torch with a key, you'll get Hellfire Ashes, which is just like a way to store your torches in a way that is stackable. So basically, if you combine one of each of those, you can also take just like a normal torch, not this torch, just like a normal torch. You can take it, and if you transmute, you get this Voidstone. Voidstone is what you take to the fountain to get into the Rathma fight. So this, of course, just like Dclone, has 3 tiers. Right, tier 0, tier 1, and tier 2. We're gonna do tier 0. In tier 1 and tier 2, like you can drop, just like Dclone, some unique items that are unique to Rathma. And they're also very, very cool. Not necessarily strong. Sometimes they can be strong. Generally, like they're mostly cool. But that's why a lot of people like the boss to just kind of hunt for these items. That's what I did in season 10. I found it really, really fun and satisfying. But we're here to talk about the basics of bossing. And now we can finally talk about Rathma, which will be the final boss for this video. It's also the most complicated and confusing one, so hopefully, like, you know, you stay with me. But let's get to it. So Voidstone achieved, and now we're going to talk about the stats that you need, the gear that you're looking for. And let's look at this, and you can see that, like, we're again very like high resistances. Lightning is pretty low, and we have all sorts of different stats. So let's talk about what we have. So in terms of resistances, Rathma is a very resistance intensive fight, and that's the that's the way I'm going to put it for now. What I mean by that is that it requires from you to have a lot of overcapped resistances, and the reason is because in the fight there is a curse of lower resistances, and the lower resistances will like how strong the curse is will rely on the tier of the fight. So this is tier 0, it can be tier 1 or tier 2, and the numbers are basically 25, 29, and 33. So whatever you have, you want to overcap by 25, 29, or 33, depending on the tier that you fight. So we only need 25 right now. I have a little bit higher, but that's not going to hurt us, so that's okay. The resistances we care about in Rathma are fire, cold, and poison, with poison being the most important one, and cold and fire, depending on your character, being like more important than the other. Generally, they're just as important. Some people say cold is a little more important, some people say fire. It just depends on your gear. That's the honest truth. So sometimes one is more important, sometimes the other is. Just take that as you will. So poison is the most important, and generally speaking, you want to aim for 90 max poison res if you're gunning for higher tier Rathma kills. But for tier 0 and tier 1, if you have less, it's okay. Same is true for fire and cold. Some people aim for 90, especially HC players, I assume, aim for higher. Like you can do this fight with like 80 even in each, and you will be fine, but it does make it more difficult. You will take more damage, and also depends on how much HP you have as a character. Some people have more, some people have less, some people can tank more, some people just need more max resistances. Another thing you want in this fight is cannot be frozen. We get it, for example, from our Gladiator's Bane, which is normally the go-to armor for physical builds. The reason is because you also want poison length reduction. So you want already like all these things, like you want like resistances, you want to overcap by 25 resistances for tier 0, right? So there's a lot of like overcap resistances, you want maximum resistances, you want cannot be frozen, and you want also poison length reduction. The reason you want it is because there's a ton of poison damage in this fight, and if you can reduce it to as little time as possible, you will struggle less, and I will show how it looks like in the actual fight. Of course, if you have for tier 0 less than that, it's okay. I've done it with like 75 poison length reduction already in tier 0, so like it's not like a must-have for tier 0, but the more you have, the more comfortable you will be. This is more like to give you confidence, like if you get this to this point, which is, by the way, this is the minimum. You can't have 0 poison length reduction. Poison will have a length, but this is the minimum that you can get it to, 25%, which in hell difficulty means to have 175 poison length reduction on your gear. So I have like 50 here. I have like an old Death's Hand. This is like an old one before it was nerfed. They gave 75. It was broken. So we're using this. This gives us 50. This gives us 75. We have 25 on our ring and 25 on our boots. So a total of 175 for a total of, yeah, for 175. So these are like the resistances requirements. If you have curse resistances, it will help you because this fight has a lot of curses, but like it's not a must-have thing. It's just something that if you have, it's like a nice benefit. In absorptions, if you can afford to have any cold absorption, that is usually very nice to have. Usually things like Raven Frost or Spirit Keeper for Druid, for example, have these kind of things. If you don't have it, it's not a must thing. It's just something that will help you. In terms of damage reduction, physical damage reduction, while nice to have, is not a focus of this fight. So generally, there's not a lot of physical damage. There is like one Void Knight that we will talk about soon that does physical damage, and we'll talk about what to do with them as well. Magic damage reduction is actually nice to have in this fight because Rathma, there's kind of like two bosses in this boss fight. Rathma will deal a lot of magical damage. That's most of their damage. So having magical damage reduction is technically nice, but it's just not a common thing to have. So I have it, I think, because I'm a werewolf and because Gladiator's Bane has like a lot of magic damage reduction and physical damage reduction. But generally, people don't have it, and it's okay. If you are an elemental build, you'll want a lot of Pierce and Mastery, but this is already up to your build to figure out, so I'm not going to talk about that. In terms of faster hit recovery, I like having a good faster hit recovery breakpoint in this fight because there are a lot of different sources of damage. It's nice to have a good recovery, but again, each character will have to figure this out for their build. And in terms of like all these stats, there are also like you know, stats for the build to figure out. So basically, we went over our gear, we know what our requirements are. Generally speaking, you want a solid like health pool, because there is a lot of different sources of damage, which we will show in a moment. So now we're gonna go into the fight. We're gonna show like how the fight goes, how it works. Generally, this fight is broken down to 6 parts. Okay, it's like 3 main parts and 3 in-between parts. So they're usually called phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. But because the fights themselves have phases and parts as well, let's make it clear just for the sake of this video. We will call like the segments of the boss fight segments, and for the actual boss fight we will call it phases. So right now we're in segment 1. This is the first in-between segment, and over here you can see that, oh, I forgot to take out my books. Usually you will do this, we will be fine even though we didn't do this. So this is the first segment of the fight, and over here you will be fighting a few monsters on the way. The reason these segments exist is mostly to give you a bunch of potions, but if you're also like if you're not level 99, which this character is, you can get quite nice experience here, and I recommend grabbing antidote potions actually before the fight, not waiting for the fight to grab them, or for like the first segment to pick up antidote potions. The first segment doesn't drop a lot of potions. It kind of expects you to have like the potions you need generally, but there are monsters here. So you can kill them if you want. We're not going to kill everything for the sake of the video to not be like 2 hours long. We just want it to be an hour long, or however long it is already that I've been recording. Hopefully my voice doesn't die by the end of this video. And you'll see that like there are these kind of like clones here, or like souls here, that are doing lightning damage. Despite that, I have pretty low lightning resist. The reason is that you have to compromise something for this fight. It has so many requirements, so I compromise the lightning damage and just try to stay safe in this first segment and second segment where the lightning damage exists, and then you get to this portal. So this was the first segment. It's pretty short, like you just walk around, you can pick up some potions, and you do want to have like a few antidote potions. We only dropped 1. Generally, you want to have 4 antidote potions with you for the second segment. So the second segment is the first boss fight, basically, and you will be fighting Mendeln there. So you will go in, and you will be in this kind of arena, and there is Mendeln here in the middle, and they will start throwing these poison stuff at you. And these are Mendeln's attacks. He can teleport, he can do this like poison attack that he did, right, this one where he sends this like poison over, and you can try to dodge it. It's like pretty annoying. He can curse you with lower resistances. This is where we were talking about, we want to overcap our resistances. And he has this Sludge Nova, and this Sludge Nova deals a lot of damage. This is phase 0. Sorry, this is tier 0, and it already deals so much damage. In higher tiers, this will legitimately lower most of your HP. And he has this Cold Wave. This is like the Bell Cold Wave. I hate this Cold Wave, but it is one of the attacks. So these are the attacks that Mendeln can do. You also have these Ancient Spires. They're invulnerable. You can attack them, but you can't deal damage to them, and they're going to be relevant in a moment. So I just wanted to show this. Again, I have a ton of life, and it deals so much damage. If you stand close to Mendeln and you're like in this ring as he shoots it, I just want to show it. I want to try and show it at least. Cold Wave. Teleport. Low res. Cold Wave. Please shoot it. Oh, he's not going to do it now. Oh, there we go. If you stand in the circle, you're not going to get damaged. I went too far, so I did get damaged, but whatever. So this is like the attacks Mendeln can do. I hope this like helps people just like to see this, to get like relaxed about it. Let's put Fury, that's our main skill. So you can see we can be like very relaxed. Once you deal some damage to Mendeln, the spires will turn on and they will start shooting these glacial spikes at you. And then these 4 golems will kind of march into the center. Your goal is to kill all these 4 golems. If they get to Mendon, they will heal him. So just like look at his health. I just want to show it. Right, gets to Mendon. Then he will consume them. He will get healed. Okay, so we want to prevent that if we can. That's like the goal. As you see, he did like his little sludge nova. We didn't get damaged because we're in the middle. And once you damage him enough, he will summon them again. So these are kind of like the phases of the fight. Like it's like the phase of the fight is like one, he like is vulnerable. He can take damage. Then he summons golems. You kill golems. You damage him again. He teleports to the middle. You see this like little invulnerable thing. He will summon more golems. Generally speaking, like these 2 golems usually spawn closer to him, so you want to kill them first. For some characters, it's really tight, like how fast they can kill the golems. So usually focusing on the closer ones is best. Some people like to do their own like order or whatever. I'm not gonna lecture anyone about how to do it, but you can see this one's like really close this time. So you kill him, then you kill him. And as we go, like, yeah, we kill all those. And then, like, we get to the final part where we lower Mendel's health. You'll see the lightning goes out of these spires and they will teleport and run away like the cowards they are. This is, like, this is the first, boss segment. So we did 2 segments of this boss fight. We're now in the in-between part 3. And in the in-between part 3, we'll again buff ourselves. Okay, you'll be fighting monsters again. You'll see that there are these like lightning guys here again, and you'll drop a lot more potions this time, right? The reason is because basically they know you can't take enough potions for all 3 fights in the first place. So they kind of like giving you potions as you go. They will drop mana potions, antidote potions, and rejuvenation potions. Some characters use mana potions. I think generally it's accepted that like rejuves are the best to take with you, but I'm sure there's like some build that can use mana potions in these fights, because some builds really do run out of mana potions. And again, I'll try to have like antidotes over here. Some people put the antidotes in their belt. This like whatever you're comfortable with is what you should be doing. So you'll see that usually the second phase will give you enough potions to just kind of fill out your inventory and your cube. That's usually how it goes. Like pretty rare that it doesn't. Normally antidotes don't fall that often in the second phase, in the second in between segment. Sorry, I'm like mixing up my language here. You can see that like a lot of potions drop. I'll pick up like some for our cube. Let's make sure we're not dying here. So yeah, you're not like out of danger in these parts. It's just like generally speaking, this is the relaxed part of the boss fight. But as you can see, it can be very long depending on how long it takes you to kill everything. And you have these like little dolls there exploding at you, which is a little annoying. But when you're ready, you reach this portal, and this will be the second like boss segment, so the 4th segment of this fight. And here we will fight Rathma. So the first time you fought Mendon, and now you will fight Rathma, and you will be summoned into this arena, which is like a little bit of a simpler arena. Reminds you of Act 3. And here you will see Rathma. Rathma is like a very magic damage based boss. So you'll see he shoots like these like teeth. He has these bone spears that will do like % of your health. So even if you're super tanky, this will like just erase some of your health. He has this bone prison, which is very annoying to kill, especially for non-melee characters. So I kill in 1 hit, but like other characters may take a little bit longer. He has this like 3 bone spears in a row that he will do. If I turn on the volume, whoa, let's not die. Yeah, you can hear there's like a sound cue for the bone spears. So yeah, these are the general attacks that he does. All right, this is the one, and if he does 3 in a row, there's like a different sound to it. So let's try and look for it. I just want to show it before anything goes away. 1, Ring. 1. 1. I wanted to do the one where he teleports and does 3 of them in a row. Okay, he didn't teleport, but he did 3 in a row. Okay, so now let's lower his health. After you lower his health a little bit, he will summon a Conjured Soul. This is another one of his abilities in this fight. They deal a lot of fire damage. They cause this kind of like fissure on the ground. So that's why you need like fire resistances in this fight as well. Or it's like one of the reasons. And after you damage him a little bit more, you'll see that he summons these Void Knights. The first time he will summon 4 of them. And they will not have any purple knights. They can be like a cold, poison, or fire knights. Again, no lightning required for this fight. But once you kill all of them, you can damage them again. So similar to how you have to kill Dclone's skeletons, you have to kill all the Void Knights, and then you damage him again. After you damage him, oh, now he's doing the teleports, right? This is the attack I was talking about earlier. After you damage him a little bit more, he will summon more Void Knights, and the second time they will also include 1 Purple Knight. Purple Knights deal physical damage. Generally speaking, we don't take a lot of physical damage reduction to this fight. And that's why usually killing the Purple Knight is most people's like go-to strategy. But you see, as you try to kill everything, like he will be shooting spears at you, he will put you in cages. So very like very annoying behavior from Rathma. Here, now we clear the second phase, and now we're in the third phase where we will damage him again, and now he will summon more Void Knights. Again, this time he summons 6. One of them will be purple. We usually try to kill him first. The cold ones also can be annoying to deal with. And you can see that we're being cursed by the Void Knights as we go. The Crapify is like the most annoying curse in the world. Be ready, because that's the one you're going to be facing the most. Okay, and once we kill all the 6 Void Knights, we can damage Rathma again. And once we damage them enough, they will go into the middle and run away like the cowards they are. And we finish the 4th segment of this fight. So again, we took a lot more potions than this would normally take us, because obviously we're talking and demonstrating as we go. As you can see, like tier 0, relatively unscary if you follow the general character needs. Now obviously, again, this is a bossing character, but in the upcoming days I will show this on other builds as well. So over here, remember, we want to take 4 antidote potions for the last part of the fight. So over here, like antidote potions are more likely to fall. So we'll make sure to have like 4 of them. I put them here. Some people put them in their belts. Both are okay. You're not being judged if you're doing one or the other, or maybe you are being judged, I don't know, but not by me at the very least. And over here, like, this is the best experience area in the game, pretty much. It's like a, for people who boss, they know, like, if you want to get good experience, killing this area, like fully clearing this area, is like a really good way to get experience. I'm obviously at 199, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, if you are looking for good experience, you're already killing Rathma, this is a good area to clear. So now, like in this map, like you'll be searching the portal. It can be in one of 3 places. Usually it's the place that I check last. It could be either on the left there, up here, or on the right. You have all these types of enemies here. So it's going to be over here. We're going to make sure to clear everything here so nothing damages us right before we go in. Okay. Here, this. So as you can see, they drop a ton of potions, so you'll never be missing any. And then you can walk into the last part of the fight. So over here, we'll go in, we will buff ourselves. I'll show the arena, then we'll show the attacks. 2, 3, we go in. Okay, this is like the small area. It's pretty simple again. Be careful about standing in the corners. Sometimes you can get stuck there if they teleport on you. This is just like a random tip, like you don't want to be standing here. And basically here you combine the two fights into one, kind of, without like the spires shooting not ice blast, glacial spikes at you. So you have like the Mendelin attacks with the sludge, the spears, right? You have this like 3 teleports on a row, the fire, the poisons, right? All these happen at the same time. And just as a general tidbit, these 2 share damage. So I can be attacking like one, right? I'm only attacking like one of them, but the other one also takes damage. once they reach a certain like a threshold of damage taken. Okay, so I'll say I put them over here. I wonder if this is enough. Oh wow, this is so much damage. Okay, maybe I reduced them enough. Mend will teleport to the middle and do this vines thing, right? He will do some poison attacks, right? And then we'll shoot out this poison nova. And this poison nova, despite all of our poison resistance, you see how much it drains me? Okay, and it does not stop. Doesn't matter how much PLR you got. This will take like 10 seconds with that much PLR, and this is why we take these antidote potions. This poison nova can happen in the first time you fight Mendelin as well. We just do too much damage, so he ended up not doing it. So this can appear in the first phase as well. I just did too much damage, so he didn't do it. So this is how it works. And after he does this like this phase where he goes to the middle and does the vines. If you take Rathma down a little bit more, they will summon the Void Knights, which I believe will happen if I do a little bit more damage. Okay, you can technically have both of these phases happen at the same time if you do enough damage. So that's something that up to you if you want to do it. Some characters, like I like to do it normally, but like some people don't like doing it. They like taking their time. Both are okay. It depends like what kind of chaos you like in terms of the level. But this works the same way it works in the second fight, where you just clear the Void Knights. And then we finished our first phase of the fight. So this was phase number 1. You can guess what happens in phase number 2. We damage Mendon. He goes to the middle. He wants to shoot out like some poison moves. There's like poison around the area. And he shoots his poison nova. We clear it with an antidote potion. Then we deal some more damage to Rathma. They summon skeletons, sorry, not skeletons, the Void Knights. We make sure to clear them as we dodge like the other attacks to the best of our ability. After clearing them, that's usually the best time to put like juice back in your belt. And then you attack Mend a little bit more. They go to the middle. They do their vines thing. You clear it with an antidote. You make sure to kill these conjured souls so they don't like do more damage to you. Then you deal a little bit more damage. Okay. A little bit of chaos there. And they summon. And this is the last Void Knight phase, the third one. And you'll see that we dealt like maybe a little bit too much damage, so now they double phase, right? So we managed to show that. Like I dealt so much damage that Mendel went low enough to do the Poison Nova. That's the 4th Poison Nova, so there will be no other Poison Nova. Now we can go ahead after we killed all of them, kill Mendel and then kill Rathma, or like you can do whatever way you want. Like some people prefer like killing one or the other. But yeah, at the end, we'll kill Rathma. And we'll get our Tainted Wellstone Shard. That's how the fight looks like. And as you can see, even with me stalling, like we didn't need that many potions. We weren't too stressed. We used basically 1 build plus 2 while like taking our time, getting hit on purpose, just like showing the different phases and the different attacks. So that was Rathma. That was the last boss we'll talk about today. And as I promised, we dropped a cool Anilus, so we'll go ahead and slam it just so you see how we can, I guess, drop all these. Just so you can see what's the use of Tainted Whirlstone Shards. So we'll go ahead and take this beautiful Anni we just dropped. We'll add a Tainted Whirlstone Shard. We'll combine them together. And it looks like it survived. It did not break because it could have been broken after this. And we'll have a look over here. What we got is all resistances slam, and it had 18, so it got a total of 10, and a total of 28 of resistances, 57 vitality, and 90 experience. So really cool Anilus we got over here. Basically an upgrade for this. Yeah, these are the bosses. Generally, these Tainted Whirlstone Shards sell between like 1.5 to 1 high rune at the beginning of the season, then their value goes down a little. Sometimes it goes back up. That's generally like the price they had. This is not guaranteed they'll have the same prices in the future. But now you should have all the basics you need for each one of those bosses. I know the Rathma and Dclone segments can, like parts can be a little bit more confusing and long, but hopefully if you have like this information and some practice with some demonstrations in the future with different builds. So this was the Fury demonstration on the way. but I'll show more of these demonstrations in the future. So hopefully that can give you the confidence to start bossing by yourself. I really do encounter a lot of people while playing. Like season 9 and season 10, I basically bossed for other people a lot of time, and a lot of people would send me messages saying they're a little bit like unsure about what stats they need, when are they ready, when can they do it, and maybe they don't know where to get the materials even. So hopefully all this video can give you all the basics that you could ever ask for. If you do have any questions or things you'd like me to cover, please do write them down, even if you think your question could be helpful for other people, maybe, because maybe I missed something that could be useful. So make sure to write those things down for other people to enjoy or for your own benefit. And with that said, from now on, I'll be uploading demonstrations of the Dclone and Rathma fight, specifically, not Ubers. Ubers are relatively simpler, Uber Ancients as well, they're relatively simpler than the Dclone and Rathma. So in order for people to start bossing more, I'd start uploading from my SSF, basically my Soul Self-Found account in Plugy, just to kind of show you don't need like GG gear, don't need crazy stuff like I have on this druid. I'll show with gear that I found myself, gear that is very average, gear that is not optimal, to just show like that you can do these fights very easily. So I'm doing it live on my Twitch, and I'll just grab the clips for the demonstrations, and I'll talk over them to show different builds. If you have builds that you played, like the idea is going to be, this is going to be like a DIY kind of series, DIY bossing. And if you have builds that you played that you think, oh, I don't know if I can boss on this, I don't know if it's possible, feel free to drop in and suggest your builds so I can try bossing with them and see, like maybe you could have taken that to Dclone or to Rathma. Maybe you can do it in the next season, in season 11, and hopefully by the end of that like series you'll have like several builds for each class. That's the plan, at least. I have like 3+ builds for each class that you can boss with comfortably, that you don't have to worry about like, can I do this, can I not do this, what items should I look to get, what should I keep when I'm farming, like should I maybe keep like the dwarf stars that we talked about, maybe keep like a G-Bane if I'm physical, all these things. So it's basically going to cover all that. With that said, I've been talking for like an hour and a half, I feel like. I'm gonna take a little sip of water. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. I could have broke this video down to smaller segments, but the more I thought about it, I was thinking, damn, I'm just gonna like break it down so people have like more videos to watch. Like, let's have it all concentrated in one place. I'll make sure to put timestamps so people can like target each boss that they want, and this will hopefully be your 101 for bossing in Project Diablo 2. Obviously Lucion, the new boss in season 10, is not in this because I will not be able to demonstrate him on Plugy, but I will make a video in the future once they added him, maybe covering Lucion as well. Lucion is kind of like in the middle in terms of like difficulty, so it's all more difficult than Ubers for some people, but less difficult than Dclone. But he's definitely not a very difficult fight. So in the future, hopefully we can cover him and show a lot of different builds killing him as well. With that said, I'm gonna go have some lunch. I hope everybody had a good whatever they're having while watching this video, and that you have fun time getting into bossing in the future. And yeah, I'll see you on the next stream or in the next video if you are following, and if you're not, like go follow. It's free, or don't, I guess, but do it. It's nice for me to see you guys hopping in and chatting. Oh, okay, enough self-show. I'm gonna go. Bye, and I'll see you around.